Hello everyone, this week we will talk about communication technology and culture. The first article you read this week is the 60s counterculture on TV. This article is more like a case study. We go back in history and really study how TV has changed the counterculture or the subculture. So there was an effort in the television industry, the director, the TV station, a lot of even social scientists, they're trying to show younger generation that the hippie movement is really not something really desirable. And they're trying to warn the younger generation to stay away from the hippie culture. And they interviewed people, they showed them where they live. But the result wasn't what they expected. People started to sympathize with the hippie groups, and a lot of young people actually became interested after watching those documentaries or even TV shows. So there was a struggle really within the TV industry because TV has become a mainstream form of influence. So they don't understand why this has happened since TV is so powerful and the image is so powerful. Why can't they use TV to persuade the younger generation to stay away? Rather, they eventually basically encourage them to understand hippie culture and become part of it. So this article is really interesting. It really reflects not just one case in history, but also how TV can be used to persuade younger people, showing younger people alternative ways of living, alternative lifestyles, and alternative messages that will have unexpected results. And still, even until this day, TV shows, TV series, TV documentaries, those are all important messages that persuade people all the time. What I want you to think about is some controversial topics. Can TV really be persuasive, or can our message be delivered the way it's intended? For instance, there are many movies and TV series showing the life of drug users and drug dealers today. I'm sure you can come up with tons of examples on your own. How do series like this influence people when it comes to drug use? When we think about people, I want you to think about not just people like you, like a college student, young generation. I want you to think about different age groups, different people from different background. Because those TV shows clearly show the downside of using drugs, right? But is that enough to scare people off? Or was that intention to scare people off? Or was it just to make money? That's why they're showing drug use, because something exciting and people are interested. They don't care about the effect that these shows may have on the audience. Especially, there are two groups I want you to think about. One group is the generation that's even younger than you are, like the teenagers or even kids when they're watching TV, when they're seeing drug use very early, before they know who they are, what they really want, before they really can understand the effect of drug use or understand this problem rationally, systematically. They are presented with information like this, and usually with TV shows and movies in the unrealistic way. Do you think they will be scared, or do you think they will be encouraged to learn more about drug use as they grow up? The other group I want you to think about is actually the older generation, especially the generation who don't have direct communication with young people anymore, because there's so many movies and TV series showing drug use on campus nowadays, or even among high school students. Do you think the older generation will form some bias after watching movies and TV shows like this to think that the young generation is irresponsible in general, or they all abuse drugs? It's like a new norm. And this type of movie will actually misrepresent what the young people really are doing. So those two groups are the people are not like you, but do you think content about drug use on TV will affect them differently? Of course, the answer is yes, it will affect them differently, but I do want you to think about how different exactly and in what way. If you can tell me your thoughts in your writing exercise for this week, that'd be great. Just make sure you give me some examples so I really know what you mean. The next article we covered is called Reconceptualizing Intercultural Communication in a Networked Society. A few keywords here. Of course, this article is about intercultural communication. And also, the other keyword is we are living in a networked society now. Most of us are connected with other people online constantly. We're not living in an isolated place. I mean, you are taking this online class. I'm not sure how many of you have ever met me or will ever meet me, but we are connected through this website and through this online course. So this is really a network society we are living in, and how intercultural communication has been reshaped. That's the focus of this article. There are a few topics really stand out in this article. The first is saying that digital media kind of expanded what's allowed online, and we can really communicate across borders about something really controversial. It's really hard nowadays for, let's say if there is a protest in Middle East, you're very likely to learn about it within 24 hours. It's really hard to keep something a secret if it has a huge impact on the society. It doesn't matter if it's a city in Middle East or a city in Europe. You probably learn about it faster if it's in Europe or a city in Africa, because of the digital media, and every citizen can become a part-time journalist when something bad happens around them. So really, it expanded the topics that we can talk about online, because without digital media, you have to wait to see everything until a major news agency send journalists out there. But now every citizen have a cell phone. Not everyone, but you know what I mean. Like most people have cell phones with a camera, so they can upload image, and they can upload even videos, or just even tweet about it, describe what's happening. So you don't have to wait until the professionals go into the area and analyze everything. You get first-hand information. But also, digital media can be used to censor citizens as well. A lot of countries block social media platforms like China. Chinese government block Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube in mainland China, at least. So you can't use those websites. Of course, there are other digital media platforms available for Chinese citizens to use to spread ideas, to talk about controversial topics, but the censorship is really strong. Not just China, censorship exists in many, many developing countries. So there are risks. And also, digital media has offered unique spaces for intercultural communication, because now you don't have to go to a place to talk to people who live there. You can just talk to them online through Facebook, Twitter. You can comment on YouTube videos, and you can use Snapchat. There are so many different, like WhatsApp is very popular in Africa. It's popular in Hong Kong, and WeChat is a platform really popular in mainland China, and Facebook is popular almost globally, other than the few places that you can access it. So there are new spaces where you can have intercultural communication. Those weren't available for the older generation, or even 2 decades ago. The options are very limited. And digital media also enable the many-to-many communication in terms of intercultural communication. You don't talk to one person. Let's say if you want to learn about Indian culture, you don't have to talk to one expert, maybe a tour guide who is American, have been to India so many times and can tell you what's that about. But you can just talk to people who live there and use Yelp to find the best restaurant in the small city in India without ever being there. So the many-to-many scale really increased the frequency and the depth of intercultural communication exponentially. And of course, the most significant result of this type of communication is the increase in multi-perspectivalism. It's basically saying, because we have so many people talking to people from different culture online right now, more and more we realize there's no single truth, or there's no simple way to do things. You have to take different perspectives to consider the location, the culture, the time, the people, and to take on different perspectives. And when people communicate with each other, not only you're aware the differences among different cultures, you also understand the rationale behind those differences. Let's say if you have never talked to someone in China, and the first time you talk to them, you may realize maybe they're rude, they're not polite, they don't say thank you, please, how are you as frequently as American people do. But after you talk to them for a while, for a long time, you realize it's not like they don't respect you, but they respect people in different ways. Maybe they don't use the certain words you are familiar with, and they show respect maybe with more of their behavior rather than their words. Then you will understand that the difference itself is not good or bad, because all the cultures from all over the world are just norms people are familiar with. So when you notice those differences, when you're talking to people from different culture, you also start to understand the difference. As a result, you start to treat other perspective with respect rather than just disregard them as wrong perspective. That's what really multi-perspectivism is about.